Welcome to 100 Yards of Football, and this is our legend segment. I'm your host, Bobby Butler, and today, man, we got a great guest, former teammate of mine, real dear friend, Mr. Chris Hinton. Chris, welcome to the show, man.
Bobby, thanks for having me, man. It's always good catching up with you, bro.
Oh, absolutely, man. Hey, we just gonna have some fun. We're gonna talk. Chris, this show is a legend show, and so what we try to do, we're trying to inspire kids and parents to kind of help them learn and see some of the things you have to do and what you go through as a player. You know, a lot of people think, all right, Chris was drafted in the first round, Bobby was drafted in the first round. Oh, they would just make to do this. But there's a long road to travel, you know this, and a lot of hard work in between. And everything don't go your way. Exactly, right? So we're going to just have a little discussion, talk about you. So let's talk about you, Chris. Chris was born in Chicago, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois.
That's right.
In the cold side of the country. All right. 6'4", 300-pound offensive tackle, played college football at Northwestern University, where he was a first-team All-American his senior year, 13-year NFL vet, played for the Baltimore and Indianapolis Colts, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Minnesota Vikings. Played 4 seasons with me in Atlanta, 2 seasons with the Vikings, and 7 with the Colts. 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro, 3-time second-team All-Pro, and he's also in the Indianapolis Colts Ring of Honor. Just give y'all a little background on this young man. He did a little something out there, right?
I tried, man.
So, Chris, let me ask you a couple questions. First of all, how old were you when you started playing football?
Actually, I started as a freshman in high school.
So you never played youth football, just straight in high school?
Straight high school. And part of that was in Chicago, organized football on the south side of Chicago didn't really exist.
Oh, wow.
For youth football. So high school was it.
Okay. So now let me ask you this question. Now, you're from Chicago. I don't know. I'm from Florida. It's a whole different deal.
You're right.
So when I was a kid, you know, we played a lot of street football. Did y'all play street football in Chicago?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think as far back as I can remember, we were playing street football.
Okay.
Watching out for the cars.
Right.
Where we didn't have a field. A lot of it was some tackle on concrete, but it was a lot of street football.
A lot of street football. I tell you what, I tell people all the time, I developed a lot of my skill in the street. Because in South Florida, you know, everybody can run. And I was a fast kid for my age. And I always, because of my speed, always got a chance to play with older kids. And so that's why I got a little tougher when I got thrown around a little bit. Right? And
it's a shame that nowadays that in order for kids to play, you got to put them in a car, drive them 30, 40 minutes or whatever.
It's crazy.
Back in the day, we went out the back door and that was it.
It's crazy. You know, it's amazing. I live in a subdivision on both sides of the street. You know, we got about 700 homes. And I promise you, over half the homes have basketball goals. And you can get in your car today and drive this whole neighborhood and won't find one kid shooting hoop.
How about that?
It's crazy. We live in a different time. All right, Chris, so when you first started playing, you start out, what was your position your first year in high school?
In high school, I played tight end and linebacker.
Okay, tight end and linebacker. Yeah. So here's the big question. How big were you in the 9th grade, 10th grade? Were you a big kid?
I was not a big kid. I can always reflect back and get my exact weight as a freshman because I wrestled also.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I was 5'10", 155. So
get out of here, man. Come on, man. That's not possible.
All right.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So, you know, it's amazing because I know when you went to Northwestern that you started as a tight end.
That's correct.
And so you must have been pretty good. I know you're athletic, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that. They think just offensive linemen are just big guys and just can move people around. But I never forget this. When we were playing together in Atlanta, I used to always like to do this to the big guy, right? So if they ran the ball on the side of the field in practice, as I was running to the ball, I'll see the big guys and hit them in the back of the head and just run to the ball because they couldn't catch me, right? And so you were new with us in 1990, I'm sorry. And I was running to the ball, and there you were. And I hit you upside the head, I started running. When I got to the ball and turned around, you hit, bam! and knocked me on my butt. I said, oh, dude, I can't mess with him like that. That guy can run.
But the thing that you didn't know, that I could only do it one time. I was like, that. That's the difference between big guys and little guys. Even the fast.
You were right there, man. I said, oh, that dude right there is a real deal. So you played tight end. You played tight end your first 2 years in college.
Yeah, and I kind of went back and forth, played a little bit of linebacker, and but mostly tight end. And an interesting story was Dennis Green, who since passed away, he came to Northwestern my junior year, and I played tight end. And my senior year, he said, "I'm moving you to offensive tackle."
Oh wow!
And which I thought was basically, here we go. The phase out, you go to the offensive line but at the time, he explained it to me. And previously he had coached with the 49ers, and he was from that West Coast philosophy. And he was able to envision and understand where the NFL was going.
Right.
And, you talked about offensive linemen being big guys who didn't move, but he saw that progression.
Right.
And it was all part of that whole blindside Taylor evolution of offensive tackles.
There you go. That's amazing, man. And here's the thing I like to tell parents, because they need to hear these kind of stories. Because I know you, just like me, when I was a kid, I saw myself playing the NFL when I was 9 years old. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, right?
Wow.
But I never saw myself playing defense. I always saw myself with the ball in my hands. And a lot of people don't know, I was one of the better quarterbacks in the whole state of Florida in high school.
Wow.
A lot of people don't know that, right? Everybody knows me as a defensive player, right? I didn't play defense until, in the 8th grade. I had started playing youth football when I was 9. And then when I was in the 8th grade, man, I got benched. And I couldn't understand it. I was mad every night. And I went to practice every night to prove to the coaches that, hey, look, I'm supposed to be playing. And the coach just told me, he said, look, we need you to help us on defense. I said, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that, right? And so I kept sitting that bench week in and week out.
Wow.
and then it just hit me. I better do what the coach is asking me to do. And so I learned how to tackle. And then 2 years after that, Chris, I'm starting as a 10th grader, 135 pounds. I'm playing free safety 2 years later.
Wow.
And then 2 years after that, everybody in the country recruited me to play defense. I had three schools recruit me to play quarterback, but everybody was a wishbone or a veer offense. And I thought that was a slap in my face because I never did that. I threw the ball a little bit, right? And so I was like, no, I'll just go and play defense.
But to your point, that's something that parents need to hear. Our stories about
absolutely,
coaches want you to play another position, but you have a position in your mind. I thought I was going to be the next Billy Joe Dupree.
Exactly right.
I was going to play tight end.
Tight end, right?
And you have to be able to willing to accept change and not necessarily go where you think you're going to go.
Right. Exactly.
And
that is so true. That's so true, because I know this to be true in life, period. We can have our own plans, and it's okay to have our own plans. But I always say you got to make a little room for God to do what He's gonna do, right?
Right.
Nothing's gonna go exactly like you think it's going to go.
Exactly.
And so if somebody who's invested in the game, as a coach who's invested their time and energy, they're studying the game, they can see something in you that you can't see in yourself.
Exactly.
And so it's a value.
You're right, because the last position I thought I would ever play was offensive line.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
I mean, kudos to Denny Green, who
absolutely,
who did a great job in projecting what I would become as far as position. So.
Absolutely, and thank God he did that and explained it to you the right way, because I know you. It kind of makes sense to you.
Exactly.
That's why he set you down.
There's some guys when they're told to do something or asked to do something, they say yes, sir. And then there's some that say why. And
Why?
I was a why guy.
You're a white guy. You're a white guy.
And it was explained to me why.
So during that time, your last 2 years, you play offensive line, and then you're projected by a lot of scouts and the analysts to be the best offensive lineman in the country in 1983. I mean, that's amazing. In 2 years. In 2 years.
And really, to be honest with you,
Mm-hmm.
it was really about 10 months.
Oh, really?
From the time I moved in the
wow.
spring,
That's amazing.
which was April, May.
Bro, that's amazing.
Until the draft the next year, which was early April of the next year. So
right.
less than a calendar year.
Oh, wow. That's amazing in itself. That's amazing in itself. And to be valued that high. I mean, so here's the most amazing thing. So you're regarded as the top offensive lineman, all right, by everybody. But on draft day, there was some controversy. All right. So tell us what happened in the 1983 NFL draft.
Well, it kind of started with the Chicago Bears actually were drafted number 5, and being from Chicago, playing in Northwestern,
right,
which was literally 30 minutes from Bears facility. We got a call from the general manager of the Bears, and he said the Denver Broncos, who are picking number 4, said they're asked if we were willing to trade up to get you, and I think they're just trying to pull some wool over our eyes. We'll see you in Lake Forest, which was the Bears' home.
Wow.
So I thought I was going to become a Bear and be a favorite, and so eventually the Denver Broncos picked me number 4, and I immediately flew to Denver. And about 5 days later, I was traded to the Baltimore Colts for John Elway.
Because John Elway didn't want to play in Baltimore.
He refused to play in Baltimore. And, I was shipped to the Baltimore Colts at the time.
Oh my God! So how did you feel, man? I mean, did you like? How was that like?
I was offended. I was hurt. Number one, I had flown to Denver. I was there for about 4 or 5 days. Flew home back to school, and I had all this Denver Broncos stickers and
oh man,
put it on dorm rooms.
Oh man,
and got this call. So it was tough.
Yeah, that's tough. That's tough. But man, hey, I don't know too many people that's been drafted as high as you in the NFL draft. so that was a blessing. So you will forever be remembered as the guy traded for John Elway.
Exactly. But the thing about it was the fact that we talked about this all happening within 10 months. I really I was so grateful.
Good.
To go from nobody even knowing who I was, to be in the 4th drafted, and to be traded, I was like, okay, let's do it. I was just grateful and felt blessed to be in that position.
That's awesome, man. I tell you what, man. I played 12 years. I never got a chance to play in Baltimore. I never got a chance to play in St. Louis. The old Cardinals. Not the Rams, Cardinals, right? So I missed those 2 places. So all right, so I got a big question for you. This is going to be the biggest question of the night. You ready?
Right. Bring it.
All right. What NFL class had the best draft? Was it 1981 or 1983?
Is there a question?
Yeah, it's a good question.
What's the question?
What draft was the best? What was the best?
Bar none.
Well, how you say that?
The greatest of all time.
Tell me how. I'm waiting. I'm listening.
Well, it's starting to show up as more and more of our guys are putting on the gold jackets.
All right, so you got 8. You got 8. You got 8. My class got 7. We're right behind you.
Okay.
All right.
We've got guys, and we got some that are still knocking at the door. It's not over yet.
Well, you know it's not
They
over.
go in the wheelchairs, but they might get it.
All right. So I'm gonna say this. The class of '83 was a great class.
Right.
The class of '83 really was a class of offensive Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
The class of '81 is a class of defensive Hall of Famers. And we both still gonna have guys going in wheelchairs.
No, every time I look at classes comparisons,
Uh-huh.
and then you're right. I do look at the '81 class, and I say, "Wow, that was a class."
Right.
I mean, everybody want to say that '83, and I think '83 will always be recognized as a good class.
Oh, absolutely.
But because your point, it was about offense. That's
and the great quarterbacks that were in your class. We didn't have a great quarterback. Neil Lomax was our guy, but he wasn't a Hall of Fame or anything like that, right?
Right.
But we were, we were a defensive class. I mean, when I think about it, I think about the free agents that were in my class. People like Everson Walls and Deron Cherry, Nate Newton. Nate Newton was in your class. Deron Cherry, just a bunch of guys that in our class that was like, whoa. I mean, think about this. Think about what's my guy name? Played for the Redskins, one of the Hogs. We had 2 Hogs, the class of '81, that didn't even get drafted.
Wow.
Jacoby wasn't even drafted out of our class. He was a free agent out of Louisville, right? So anyway, we will make that argument all day long.
Now, what I'd like to see is me get my guys together, my offensive guys together, the '83 guys that play your '81 defensive guys.
We can't do that now. We can't do that. Hey, but I tell you, now we got a couple guys in our class now. A Chase y'all now. We got LT. He's still wired. We got Ronnie Lott. He'll cut his hand off to play y'all.
Right.
So
they had to chase down Eric Dickerson and.
Oh man, that's right. Y'all got ED. That's right. Well, anyway, we'll have that argument to the grave.
Right.
So I remember in 1989, man, we played the Colts in Indianapolis, and that week, getting prepared to play you guys. So I did a lot of film study. That was part of my thing. I was a big study guy. And so I'm in the film room trying to watch these guys. Andre Rison was a rookie. Was it Billy Brooks?
Yeah, exactly.
Billy Brooks. He had all those guys, and so I'm trying to study, but I couldn't study, man, because I keep seeing guys on the defense line get just thrown out the picture. What's going on down here? So I'll never forget this, man. I'll see you. You were playing left tackle. I'll see you getting your set, right? When y'all pass the ball, you're getting your set. And you'll throw a left jab, like a left bam, like that. And then you hit him with a right cross, bam. The guy go flying. I said, man, who is that guy? And I will watch you the whole doggone day instead of watching receivers. I watch this offensive lineman play. I could not stop watching you play. And then I could not believe that after that year, you and Andre Rison both ended up in Atlanta. How did that happen?
That was, it was funny because about that year was when they started having the NFL draft workouts, the combine in Indianapolis.
Okay.
And I went up there and kind of hung out, and Ken Herrock, who was the manager
for the Falcons.
And I met him and I said, man, I would love to head down to Atlanta, just in a joking manner.
Right.
Had no idea. And so again, for a quarterback who Jeff George was that year was the #1 pick.
Right.
And the coach again traded me. I think it was something about #1 pick quarterbacks that
right.
That I'm involved in the nice trade date. But,
the second time.
And so like you said, Andre Rison, myself, and the draft pick. And it's funny because I'm involved in 2 of the the worst trades in Colts history. One, they traded away John Elway,
Wow.
and two, Jeff George,
Wow.
who became a flop, a
Oh,
bust, basically.
right. Exactly. Wow. Man, I tell you, that's crazy, man, because I couldn't believe. I'm like, how did that happen? But their loss, our game, right? So,
exactly.
Getting you two guys in, especially Andre and the system that we ran, I mean, you couldn't stop that guy. And then to bring you down to go along with Mike Ken on one side, you were on the other side with some younger guys like Jamie Dukes. And, man, it was like, bro, yeah. And we had all those guys, man, And so Fraley, who was an all-pro, we had an all-pro offensive line.
Unbelievable. I mean,
unbelievable.
Between myself, Bill Fraley, Mike Ken, and like you said, Jamie Dukes and Houston Hoover.
And Houston Hoover.
But, I mean, we had probably about 12 to 15 Pro Bowl seasons just on that offensive line.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So let me ask you this now. So, I mean, you play for the Colts. When you come to Atlanta, how did you like playing for Jerry Glanville?
It was different.
It was different, right?
Different. I thought he was a heck of a motivator, and it was unlike any coach that I had ever played for.
Absolutely.
I mean, the stories that people hear about Jerry Glanville is only the tip of the iceberg. I mean, you just say his name and you laugh about some.
You laugh about some of the things that you remember, right? Hey, listen, I don't know if you know this or not, but when I was drafted in 1981 by the Falcons, Jerry was the defensive coordinator and defensive back coach in Atlanta. So he coached me. That was the second stint I had him when he came back in 1990. Yeah. And so, but he was a different guy as a head coach than he was as a position coach, defensive coordinator. A lot of the guys, some of the guys like Joel Williams, who's a great outside linebacker. He was with us in 1989, and I was trying to convince him to stay because he was a great outside rusher, right? And he just didn't think he can do it because of the way Jerry used to practice back in the early days. We practiced so hard. I'm talking about everything was about hitting and running. And at that point, Joel was in his 11th year. He said, man, I can't do it. I can't do it. And so, but anyway.
Right. That's the one thing that stood out with me with Jerry was the fact that practices were so hard. I mean, I got on 85 heading south, just worn out, man. It was tough practice.
Oh, tough, man. Tough, no doubt. So how did you like coming here, playing for him, but also how you liked June Jones' offense to run and shoot?
June Jones as a coach, loved him. I wasn't crazy about the run and shoot because I was a physical,
power guy, right?
Power blocking,
right?
Get down in the 3-point stance and put all my weight on my fingers so they almost want to pop off and
right.
The ball and hit a guy.
Exactly.
And and so run and shoot, you're a little more passive in some ways, and so it didn't really fit, my strengths,
right?
But I tell you, just the group of guys we had on the team, and it was a fun 4 years.
Too legit to quit, right?
I mean,
it was a crazy time, man. It was a crazy time.
I mean, to have my nieces and nephews just enamored with the fact that I was hanging out with Too Legit to Quit and MC Hammer and all.
We had so many guys, so many celebrities came in the locker room. I remember Ice Cube used to be in the locker room. Travis Tritt used to be in the locker room. Chris Christopherson were all in the locker room. Gary Jones, right. I mean, all those guys hanging out, man, because Jerry just, he had it dialed up. That's all I can say. He had it dialed up. That's crazy.
I just remember it probably just described our team at the time when we beat the 49ers in San Francisco, and we were playing our loud music before the game and the locker room. And I remember reading a quote Jerry Rice said, "I can't believe we lost to the Boombox team." I'll never forget that.
Because we were down to the Boombox team, man.
The Boombox team.
That music was so loud, man. I couldn't even sit in the locker room. I had to go outside all the time. Stay outside, man. He had it pumped up. And really, it brought us together because he played all kind of music. It wasn't just one style of music. Everybody heard something they liked, And so it was really good. So you played, 4 seasons in Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so in 1994, as a free agent, you go up to Minnesota to play for Denny Green again.
Exactly.
So how was that reunion going back to play with him?
It was kind of bittersweet in that it was great to work full circle and go back to basically my mentor guy who. But the bitter part was the fact that it was towards the end of my career. I wish that it was more in the prime of my career where I could really be helpful and be a better player and just more helpful to the team.
Right.
But I'm glad it happened, and it was a nice full circle type deal.
That's awesome, man. So you had a stellar career. Tell me something about this, and see if this is true or not. I'm gonna ask you this. I'm not sure, but I think I'm right. Were you a Pro Bowler at every position on the line except center? You play on the left side, the right side, tackle and guard, right?
Well, Bobby, you're almost there, but
okay.
I made the Pro Bowl at left and right tackle.
Okay.
At left guard.
Okay.
And I was all pro at right guard.
Oh, wow. So I can say you're the only offensive lineman in the history that can claim that.
Oh, no other.
It's two other?
I'm not. There's no other other offensive lineman.
Exactly.
And I was the first offensive lineman to make it as a rookie, make the Pro Bowl as a rookie.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
And the first player in the NFL to make the Pro Bowl at 3 different positions.
Wow, that's incredible, man. So that says a lot about, your work ethic. It says a lot about your athletic ability, because you do have athletic ability. And then it says a lot about, learning new positions and being able to do that. Because I know for me, as a left corner, after a couple of years in the league, I could not go play right corner. It wasn't going to happen. Bro, it wasn't going to happen. Now, out of college, I could have played either way, because in college, I played left and right because I played strong corner. So I played on both. But when you get on one side and you start locking down and playing that side, bro, don't move. No, I'm not doing it.
And it's the same thing with the offensive, left tackle, right tackle. People who don't understand that. But also, I always tell people probably the 3 toughest positions to come in and be and play well right away is cornerback, left tackle, and quarterback. I mean, those are 3 of the toughest positions to come in.
Absolutely. Well, man, I tell you, that's big time. And also, when you were inducted into the Indianapolis Colts Ring of Honor, how was that, man?
It was. I got such gratification out of it because it was nice to show my kids and now my name to be in the stadium.
Absolutely, forever. It's there, man. It's there. That's awesome.
Every once in a while, I go back with some Windex and kind of clean up my name a little bit.
Well, I tell you this, man. I played with a lot of great players over the years, and when you play 12 years, you see a lot, right? And I can tell you this, that you're probably the best lineman I played with collectively. And I'm not saying that because you're on the show. I mean, we just talked about you being a Pro Bowler and all pro at both guards, both tackles, which is incredible to go on the one side of the field and then go on the other side and do it again. It's crazy. And I really believe, Chris, that you deserve to be in the NFL Hall of Fame. And if you're watching this show and y'all got to vote, y'all need to vote him in. We don't need to wait till he's in a wheelchair cripple. We can do it now, right? And so I really believe you had that kind of got that kind of career. So when you got finished playing football, man, let the people know what you did.
Well, I always had one of my hobbies was wine. I was trying to become a wine connoisseur, and so I had advice once from a really successful guy who said, whatever you do, try to turn a hobby or a passion into a job, and you'll never work another day.
Never work a day in life. Wow.
And I said, man, I'm into this wine thing, and the part of town where we live, there's no real wine store. And so the short version is open up a wine store, and eventually open up a second, and did that for 20 years.
Absolutely. I mean, it was awesome. I remember being on the planes, man. We flying, and you and I should sit right next to each other all the time on the plane in the back. And I had the seniority, you had the size.
Right.
So we could sit where we wanted to sit. And you had magazines back then, man. And see, all I knew, man, was about Morgan David, MD 2020. I knew about Boone's Farm. Wild Irish Rose.
Right.
And you were studying it, man. You were really into it. I'll never forget that, man. On the planes, you had those magazines and talking about wine like that. That was amazing. And had a very successful business. Yeah, and you sold your businesses, what, a few years ago?
Sold the business, it was about 3 years ago. And time was pretty good with our two youngest, our boys going off to play college football. And so it's given me an opportunity to
free up,
fly around and even do a pandemic.
So let's talk about. I want to know about your family, and I want to talk about your boys. Before we talk about your boys, I want you to talk about that attorney that's in the house.
Well, my wife of nearly 22 years, Maya. Coincidentally, we met in Minnesota, and coincidentally, she played basketball at Northwestern after I played football at Northwestern, and just talking about a small world. And so that's my road dog and my partner in crime. So
I tell you what, she's a star. She's a wonderful lady. I tell you that. Yeah, just a wonderful lady. And so y'all start having kids.
Start having kids. Got two boys, and it was at the time when the boys were really young. They had to be about 6 months and a year and a half. And we said, well, we don't have a church home, but I got a friend of mine who can come here and put his hands on the babies.
Let me lay hands on them.
and Chris and our babies. And
that's right.
And unbelievable. We were blessed and fortunate to have you come into our home.
Amen. That was awesome, man. And I tell you what was really awesome. When I saw Miles up close and personal, how big your baby boy is. I'm like, I had to in my arms at one time.
Exactly.
That's crazy. So first of all, tell me about Christopher. Where he's at.
So Christopher is our older boy. He is he's a sophomore at University of Michigan playing defensive line. Awesome. He's like 6'4", 305.
Okay.
And then we have Miles, who is 16 months younger. He's a freshman at Stanford. He's 6'7", 330. He's playing offensive tackle at Stanford.
Oh my gosh! I tell you, man. When they were babies, they're the most beautiful two boys, man. I'm just telling you, man. They've grown up to be young men. And I was reading some on Miles that he's a little artist. He draws and paints and stuff like that. Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. That has a lot to do with his parents. It had a lot to do with you guys investing the time outside of sports into education, into arts clinics and things like that, boot camps for him in art, and just to grow that other side of him, right? That's amazing.
Yeah, and as parents, we always wanted to embrace whatever they give them a chance to try whatever they want.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
Miles tried lacrosse. That didn't work.
Well, he did that because of his buddy. He did that because of his buddies, right?
Yeah, exactly. But no, we're blessed and
Oh, amen.
just two great kids, and
Amen.
we're blessed.
Amen. Well, that's good, man. Well, I tell you what, I know for me, Chris, I got 4 boys. You know that. And when I retired from football, man, I'm telling you, the best time of my life, I coached all 4 of my boys in basketball. You saw me coaching over there in Dorville.
Right.
When Bryce was playing. And so, yeah, man, for 12 years, I coached them, man. It was the best time of my life.
Oh, man.
The best time of my life.
You know, you talk about the Park District where some kids made their name. I asked you, you know, where to take my boys, and over to Dorville, and I spent a couple of years over there coaching. So
that's right. That's right. that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. Well, look, man, thank you for your time. Promise you I won't keep you too long. And come on the show, man. We'll do it again. Hey, I got a show in mind I want to do. I'm telling you right now on air. Me, you, and some of the guys from my time, Jamie, Dion, a few guys, Brian Jordan, we need to get on at the same time and just laugh and have a good time, man.
Oh, man.
We need to do that.
It's funny you mentioned that. Some of the guys that I went to college with, we do like quarterly Zoom.
Oh, wow.
Zoom quarterly, and we just get on and just get caught up what everybody's doing.
That's
and
cool.
we just talk about you know the stories, how the stories got bigger, and
absolutely. Well, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Well, Chris, look, thank you again for being on the show, man.
Thank you. Because I retell some of the stories to other people, they're not the same. It's not the same.
Right.
You have to be there.
You have to be there.
Thanks for having me, man.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, thank you again. Hey, guys, if you like the show, comment, share with everybody. This is Bobby Butler with the Legend segment, 100 Yards of Football. And our great guest tonight, Chris Hinton. Chris, thank you again, man. Appreciate you so much.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. Enjoyed it.